Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. In the middle of busy schedule, choosing to pause and be here is already a meaningful step towards your well-being. Today's session focuses on two deeply interconnected pillars of health, which are sleep and meditation. While they may seem simple or even passive, they are in fact some of the most powerful tools we have to restore balance, improve mental clarity, and support our overall physical and emotional health. In a world that often glorifies being constantly on, today is an invitation to explore the value of slowing down and why it might be exactly what we need to function at our best. I would like to invite Dr. Ira Naeem, a clinical psychologist with over a decade of experience in Dubai's mental health sector. Ms. Ira brings a wealth of experience, and her work is grounded in a holistic, compassionate, and evidence based approach, creating a safe and supportive space for individuals to feel heard and empowered in their healing journey. I would now like to invite Ira to join. Also, if you have any questions or you feel like sharing something, please feel free to use the chat box. We'll be addressing all the questions towards the end of the session. Over to you, Ira.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Shivani, for the introduction. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I can see the attendees count climbing. Wonderful. Welcome, welcome. Whether you're joining us from your home office or a conference room, and I know some of you, maybe you are doing this from your car or maybe parking lot, before your mid-afternoon. I see you and I'm genuinely glad that you are here. For those just joining, I'm Ira Naeem, clinical psychologist, and I'm also a neurobehavioral researcher. Recently, I'm doing my PhD in Alzheimer's, which is very much connected to what we are going to talk about today. And I'm someone who has almost spent a decade of sitting across from people very much like you, who are brilliant, capable, driven, and quietly falling apart inside. We are going to talk about that today and just honest science and science-based conversation. We will try to understand what happens when we just keep going on. We are in our bed, but our brain is still on. So this is what we are going to talk about. And I think we have to look at this silent crisis that is happening right now in offices exactly like yours. Then, obviously, we are going to look inside your brain, that what happens, and try to understand whenever there is a chronic stress and sleep deprivation, what exactly happens inside your brain. From there, we will explore meditation. Meditation, I think it's a cliche. It's something that we all are aware about. We read about it a lot. We watch a lot of videos on social media. But I think today's session, it's not something I'm going to tell you something very new. But I think it's a moment for us to take a pause and maybe think about, do we really do that? Then we will talk about sleep, some tips not like drink chamomile tea, but we are going to understand your sleep architecture, what is actually happening in your brain while you sleep, and why skipping it costing you far more than that you realize. After, we will look at how these two things, the biggest two things, foundations of our mental and physical health, which is sleep and meditation, they are interconnected. At the end, I'll give you a very concrete, practical toolkit you can start using today, not next Monday, not next month, but maybe from today. Then we will close with a live breathing exercise together, and I will open the floor for the question for you. So let's begin. Before I begin, I really want all of you to be honest, not with me, but with yourself. So maybe raise your hand or type yes in the chat box if you had less than 7 hours of sleep last night. So right now we are almost 230 people. So let me go in the chat box. So many hands I can see. Absolutely. Yes. Okay. Actually, I had 9.5 last night. But many of us actually mostly functioning on less than 7 hours of sleep. So many. Now I can see the hands and I can see the yeses. And honestly, I expected this. So many. I can imagine. Because here is, I expected it because the data that we study in our textbooks or in our new recent articles is that professionals like you, around 76%, 3 out of 4 corporate employees report living in a state of chronic sleep deprivation, not occasional bad nights, chronic, meaning this has become their normal. It's not that, oh, today I had this, so I did not get enough sleep. Somehow it's just your normal. 68% say that work related stress is the number one reason they cannot sleep. Not Netflix, not their children, it's work. Overall, if we see globally, like the data is around $6.5 million annually we lose, not because of the sleep or the stress of the work, but because there is absenteeism. We don't feel well, and then we just take a sick leave. People showing up sometimes and not functioning. We are talking about this slow, invisible cost of bodies in the chairs that are running on empty. And people who are consistently under 6 hours, they carry 3 times higher risk of burnout. 3 times, not slightly elevated, it's 3 times. You know, here is, like for me, what strikes me the most every single time when I share these statistics, nobody in the room thinks it applies to them, including myself. We all think that we are the exception. We all believe that we have adapted. I mean, I'm absolutely fine. I function on 5 hours, 5.5 hours, and we take such a great pride in it that I am working so hard. I can function on 5 hours of sleep. We really like to believe that we have adapted, that we function fine on 5 hours, that our body have adjusted. They have not adjusted, they have compensated. There is very dangerous difference between those two words, adjusted and compensated. These aren't just number, these are your colleagues, they might be you. So I want you really today we're gonna go into your brain and see what happens. But before, I really want to share one example. Of course, I have changed the name for the privacy reasons, but I will share with you a very common case that I see almost every day in my therapy room. Um, so let me introduce you to Arjun. Okay. So Arjun, 32 years old, senior management manager at a multinational firm, 2 young children, 3 promotions in 4 years. From outside, he was the definition of success. The kind of a person his colleagues looked at and thought, I want to be him someday. When he sat down in my office, the first thing he said to me, I thought I was tired. Turns out I had been dying slowly. He had not slept more than 5 hours a night in nearly 2 years. He drank 3 to 4 cups of coffee a day just to feel baseline functional. And I think most of us, we do that. Most of the time, we are functioning on cups of coffees. He had stopped exercising, no time. He had stopped having hobbies because no energy. His wife told him he was not present even when he was sitting right next to her. He forgot his daughter's birthday once and then again the following year, of course. He came to see me after having his first panic attack. Not at home, not privately, in a board meeting, in front of 12 colleagues and two senior directors. His heart racing, hand shaking, vision blurring, his body finally demanding loudly and publicly what his mind had been quietly begging for years. Now, what body was asking is rest. I want to ask you something and I want you to really sit with it. Do you see yourself anywhere in Arjun's story? Not completely, perhaps, because not all of us are getting panic attacks or our relationships are falling apart, maybe, but maybe a thread of it, a recognition, a little uncomfortable familiarity. I really um, want you to maybe take a moment and ask yourself, do you see that you forget your, important deadlines or somebody you love their birthdays or your anniversary, and then we just make a joke out of it, like, I'm just so tired. And I think I can also connect with you guys because most of the time that used to happen to me as well. So that feeling you are having right now, that slight tightness maybe, the quiet, oh, like this heavy chest, that is your nervous system recognizing itself. Pay attention to that. It's more important information. And Arjun, by the way, is doing extraordinarily well today. He meditates for 15 minutes every morning without exception. He is in bed by 10, which is a super luxury goal for all of us to be in bed by 10. He got another promotion. His wife says she has her husband back. And today, the science we are going to cover today is what got him there. And I really hope that you will be able to pay attention to this webinar and close all other tabs you have open, or maybe just sitting here doing it as a formality, just pay a little bit more attention. So let's talk about science. What happens in your brain when you are really on less hours of sleep? I want you to understand not just what these part of our brains they do, but what actually happens to them when you are chronically underslept. The first and most important part of our brain, which is right here on the frontal lobe behind our forehead, it's called prefrontal cortex. Now, prefrontal cortex, it's the most important part of our brain because it handles decision making, impulse control, rational thinking, and prioritization and focus. And now you can all imagine that if we don't have these functions doing properly, are you going to perform well at work? Because it's all about decision making and our impulse control. Um, in neurological terms, what makes you you? It's the prefrontal cortex. And I don't want to go too much into science, but I really want to share something that sticks with you. Now, here is what happens if after just one night of poor sleep, prefrontal cortex, it shrinks functionally by approximately 14% with one night of bad sleep. It shrinks by 14%. Brain imaging studies reduce gray matter volume and decreased metabolic activity into this region after sleep restriction. You are quite literally working with the smaller brain in the morning after a bad night's sleep. Now, the second most important part is amygdala. And I think right now we are 300 people, and maybe most of you have attended another webinar with me. I focus a lot on two words, prefrontal cortex and amygdala, because these two parts of our brain are the most important part that are controlling our emotional and functional health. Now, when we talk about amygdala, it's your brain's emotional alarm system. Under normal condition, It is regulated by the first one we spoke about, prefrontal cortex. Think of it as a junior employee being managed by a calm, experienced supervisor. So amygdala is a junior employee and prefrontal cortex is a supervisor. Now, when you are sleep deprived, the supervisor goes offline, and then the junior employee becomes overactive, and it becomes 60% more reactive and negative stimuli. 60%. That is not a rounding error. That is clinical reason why sleep deprived people snap at colleagues, why they take feedback personally, why they normally would not be open to criticism, why small problems feel like, oh my God, my life is falling apart, why you may have cried in the bathroom last Tuesday and thought you were just being emotional, or maybe you're just gonna get your periods. You are not being emotional, you are underslept. There is a profound and important difference between these two things. Now, the third is hippocampus. This is your brain's memory center. Hippocampus and memory. Always remember this connection. Every skill you learn in your daily life, I mean, being a corporate employee, every day you are learning something. And every day when you are learning something, it has to be stored somewhere, because if the memory is there, only then the learning hub will be created. It only becomes a long-term memory during sleep. So whatever you have learned, when you go to sleep, only it will be transferred to the long term. Otherwise, you will forget about it. Specifically during the slow wave and REM stages. REM stages are sleep stages that we will discuss after. So sleep deprivation, it actually reduces our efficiency of memory by 40%. You are not just tired, you are forgetting things you never actually fully formed in the first place. So it's very normal for us to say, oh my God, I just forgot about it. Oh my God, how can I forget about it? And your manager or your wife or your parents or even your medical appointments, oh my God, I just forgot about it. So you just did not forget about it. Basically, your brain did not even form it as a memory. It was just there in your head on top of it. So, and finally, the fourth one is HPA axis. HPA axis, this is not your stress hormone highway. Basically, under healthy condition, cortisol peaks in the morning to help you wake up and gradually tapers through the evening. Now, under chronic sleep deprivation, this system stays active. Cortisol stays elevated throughout the day and into the evening, which ironically basically prevents you from sleeping the next night, creating the very cycle you are tapped in. Like when usually, most of the time, when people come to therapy, this is very common for people to say, I sleep, but my brain never sleeps. So I think this is one of the reasons that our HPA axis, the cortisol in our body, it just stays active and keeps us active also. Now, I really want all of you to ask this question to yourself, that has anyone experienced that moment where you realized that a decision you made while exhausted was deeply wrong? Because if we are well rested and if we are properly in our right set of mind, the decision we make are, you know, very much aligned with our decision making and the logic. And I thought, I think many times I have done it, and I think we all have been there. So today, which is why we are here, so we can put bit of attention to it. So now let's talk about the second most important point for us today, which is meditation. Now, meditation, it is really, really, I want you to start with what meditation is not. because most of you know what meditation is. So we want to know what it is not. So, what it is not sitting cross legs on a mountain, what usually we see, right? The photos and videos. It is not emptying your brain. That is biologically impossible and frankly a terrible instruction, because whenever a doctor tells you or a colleague tells you or somebody tells you, stop thinking about it, keep your brain empty, make it empty space, actually it's not possible, because there are thousands and thousands of neurons that are actively doing certain things in our brain. So it is biologically impossible to have empty mind. It's not possible. So anytime when someone tells you don't think about it, actually that's the worst advice ever. Because if I tell you now, don't think about Apple, I'm sure most of you have imagined the image of Apple. So meditation is not about becoming a different person. It is about training your attention and your awareness slowly and systematically. That is the whole thing. It is a mental training process. It's not emptying your brain, but it's a training. And we have decades of, you know, research, so much of brain imaging studies, and so many of controlled trial errors. Let me walk you through the most four important findings from so much of data that we have from years and years of studying meditation. Now, the first one is neuroplasticity, and I think most of the Gen Zs here today uh, might be aware with the term of neuroplasticity. It's very much trending right now on social media. So, in 2011, Harvard Medical School research conducted a landmark study. They took adults with no prior meditation experience and put them through an 8-week mindfulness based program, just 8 weeks, which is 2 months. Now, 20 to 40, 20 to 45 minutes a day. So this study, when they scanned the participants' brains at the end of the program, they found measurable increase in gray matter in the prefrontal cortex. And remember, we spoke about prefrontal cortex basically is our manager, the very region that shrinks when you undersleep. They also found decreased gray matter in the amygdala. And remember, amygdala is the reaction that we all have a lot. So basically, if you meditate 20 minutes to 45 minutes a day, there is a huge, huge improvement that we all can go through and our brain can change. Think about that in 8 weeks, without drugs, without surgery, without any external intervention, these people had physically changed their brains. That is neuroplasticity. Your brain can change or sculpted or modify or reshape itself whatever the way you train it. And I promise you that. Not, it's a promise from my side, it's from research, it's from science. Yes, it is a true reality that until from birth until 21 years old, our brain has fully formed. Now, neuroplasticity is difficult but not impossible after 21 years of age. The more and more we age, the more it's difficult for us to change our habits and to have the process of neuroplasticity. And that is because with the age, we just become a bit more inflexible and really have this rigidity in our behavior that this is how I am. You take it or you leave it. This is how my habits are. This is how I react. This is how my lifestyle is. You either accept it or you leave it. And I think most of us, we destroy our relationships and our progress by having this rigid attitude. But I really want all of you to know that It is possible for our brain to have this neuroplasticity even after 21 years of age. Now, the second is stress reduction, which we call stress and cortisol. It's like a cortisol reduction. Now, mindful based stress reduction has been studied extensively and the data is consistent. 8 weeks of MBSR reduces the serum cortisol levels by 23 to 30%. Not a little, by a third. It's 30%. Less cortisol means less chronic inflammation in your brain. Less inflammation mean better cardiovascular health, better immune functions, better mood regulations, and critically better sleep. So it is something that we really have to pay attention today. Now, the third is cognitive performance. Now, when we talk about cognitive performance, one of the study I would share with you, Harvard Business School studies on meditating executive found 22% higher sustained focus, 33% faster cognitive recovery after stressful events, and 41% better quality of decision making compared to the people who don't meditate. Now, these are not the small effects, these are the performance difference that would not go unnoticed in your quarterly review, I'm sure. So, meditation strengthens what neuroscientists call the prefrontal amygdala regulatory circuit. And these are the two words that we are going to really focus on today. So, let's talk about what you can do right now. Now, I have been a psychologist for almost over a decade, 12 years in Dubai, 4 years previously. I have heard every single reason in the book for why meditation is not possible for someone. Let me go through the greatest hits. The first and the foremost is I don't have time to meditate. But this is the most common, and I understand it. I genuinely do. You are busy. I know. So let me offer you reframe the research. So a 10 minutes meditation practice has been shown to increase sustained focus and cognitive efficiency by 22%. If your work day is 8 hours, that is a return of over an hour and a half and of higher quality output. You do not have time to meditate, right? Most of the time. But if you do and you get the results back, why not? And secondly, is I can't stop thinking. My mind is too busy. This is the second most sentence I have ever heard. But here is the secret that surprises almost every one of my client when I tell them that is not a problem if you can't stop thinking. That is a practice. Meditation is not the absence of thought, which is a total wrong conception we have about meditation. It is noticing of thought. So any thought that you have, you don't have to let it go. You just have to notice it and the gentle return to your attention. For example, right now, what am I thinking? I just thought about because someone sent me a heart in the chat box. Okay. So that popped up in my head. So I noticed that heart and then again I came back to my attention. So every time you notice your brain has wandered somewhere, went somewhere, connected, pay attention, and then come back. So that is how we meditate. You are training a mental muscle. The busy mind is not a failure at meditation. The busy mind is the reason for meditation. Um, Third misconception in this part of the world specifically, what I heard, it's religious. It's not for me. So I think this is what we have a huge misconception. We associate meditation, mindfulness, or taking deep breaths with certain religions. And we always maybe imagine it comes from India, it comes from Buddhism, but it's not true. Um, it was developed at the university in Massachusetts Medical School. It is used in oncology wards, in elite military training. In it has no religion, no requirement, no ideology, no belief system. It is a cognitive training tool. It does not belong to any religion. Yes, some of the religion have adapted it to make it a practice, so the followers of that religion are more aligned with their spiritual decision making, but it does not belong to one specific belief. Fourth one is fall asleep every time I try to meditate. Now my answer to that is good. Your body was desperately asking for rest, and you finally gave it permission to take it. Falling asleep during early meditation practice is extremely common. We all have been there. I have been there, especially in sleep deprived adults. It means you're doing something right. You are lowering your physiological arousal over time as as your sleep debt is repaid and your practice matures. So you will stay present. For now, if you fall asleep, I call that a win. So if you sleep, go and sleep. So good. Now that we have cleared these out of our way, let us talk about sleep itself, because meditation and sleep are not separate topics. They are deeply neurologically connected, and understanding sleep architecture will change the way you think about those hours between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. Now, when we talk about the sleep, before, let me ask you something. Um, when was the last time you thought of sleep as something you were doing for yourself? Something proactive, something powerful rather than just the thing that just happens when you are too exhausted to stay awake anymore. How many of you do you really think that when you go to a bed, you are very intentional about that my sleep is for myself? I am going to spend time with myself. Because that is how most people relate to the sleep passively, as a default state, as if like it's a time wasted. Like, you know, thank you for sharing your responses. I really appreciate. Most of us, especially us millennials and a generation before us, somehow the hustle culture where you work so hard has been really glamorized. It's called hard work. It's called a sign of success that, oh my God, I'm doing everything in my capacity to make things work. But you really need to understand that your sleep is not a flat, continuous state. It moves through distinct stages throughout the night and in different cycles. Over a full night, if you look at this architecture right now in front of you on the screen, it moves through different cycles, and each cycle contains a unique biological function. Now, the number one is called stage N1. Now, N1 um, is our light sleep. That transition from wakefulness, your muscle begin to relax and your eyes movement slow. So this is very brief, when you usually go to the bed. And two is a core sleep. Now, core sleep, where you spend most of your night, your body temperature drops, heart rate slows, and your brain begins producing sleep. These are bursts of activities that play a role in memory processing and motor skills. This is where a lot of the background processing of your daily happens. And that usually you might have noticed, like in your sleep, whatever you have spoken throughout the day, usually you feel like it comes into your dream because your brain is still in that N2 stage. So whatever happened during the day is there. Now, N3 is the deep sleep, Deep sleep, also called slow wave sleep, that is most physically best phase of our sleep. If we manage to go into a deep sleep, your pituitary gland basically releases human growth hormones during this stage. And this is where your immune system is actively reinforced and our damaged cells they repair in our deep sleep. If you did not manage to go into deeper sleep phase, you will not repair. And now, whenever we talk about the piece of, I think most of you have heard about the blue light, right? Now, here is the piece about the blue light that I need every single one of you to hear. Your brain produces melatonin, the sleep hormone, right? Melatonin, I'm sure most of you have heard it. And the sleep hormone in response to darkness. Your eyes contain specialized cell which produces the melatonin basically, which detect blue wavelength light and directly suppress melatonin production. So basically, what happens, the reason we don't go into the deep sleep is because the screen of your phone, basically it has a blue light. Your laptop has a blue light. Your television has a blue light. So when you scroll at 11 at night and you know who you are sending a bright midday signal directly to your brain sleep, and which is definitely going to impact the melatonin release in the night. So basically, melatonin production is suppressed by 2 to 3 hours every time you expose yourself to the screen. Your sleep onset is delayed and your sleep is reduced. Deep sleep basically is reduced. Now, what happens? Now, every time we think it's okay. I mean, all of us are so used to of having a phone by our side, especially given the current circumstances, in the region. I mean, we were having lots of alerts throughout the night, and then every time there is a alert, I need to go to my phone and then look at the news, what's happening. So I think most of us have been there where our melatonin production have been extremely impacted by using the screen. And I think again, as a parent or as an adult, we keep telling our children, don't use phone. Most of the doctors will tell you, don't use your phone before you go to sleep, because it's not advice that we are giving. It is a science, it is a reality that every time you expose your eyes to the blue light, the melatonin release in your eyes and in your brain, it will get impacted, and because of that you won't be go into the deep state of sleep, and you won't be having those deep unconscious dreams. Most of your dreams will be related to whatever has happened throughout the day. Now, uh, understanding sleep, yes, it's too much scientific information. I didn't want to go deep into that, but it was important for you to understand that if you really want to recover your muscles, you really have to go into the deeper state of sleep. It's not just you lying down, closing your eyes, or just being in the bed, but your brain is active. You have to do something to basically let your brain also to sleep and to go into the deeper state. Now I want to show you a loop that many of you are living inside right now, possibly without even realizing it. It starts with work stress, deadlines, deliveries, conflict, all the ordinary features of professional life in 2026, right? Work stress triggers your HPA axis that we spoke about, cortisol release. Uh, Elevated cortisol, it makes it very difficult to fall asleep and stay asleep. Most of you maybe go to sleep and maybe wake up maybe 3 times a night, and then every time you wake up, it's always difficult to go back to sleep. So, what happens? Your brain is physiologically in a state of alertness. It thinks there is a threat. It cannot easily shift into a slow wave of your body needs, what your body needs. So you get a very poor sleep because there is a lot of stress, and stress has elevated your cortisol. Poor sleep impairs your prefrontal cortex and dysregulates your amygdala, as we discussed. Now, you are less resilient, less focused, less patient, work becomes harder, and the stress increases automatically because more stress, poor sleep. Poor sleep, more work. And more work means more stress. Round and round until the body sends a distress signal, like, for example, a panic attack or some sort of a physical health diagnosis, or diabetes, or hypertension, or a divorce, or breakup, or maybe getting terminated, or receiving warnings from your managers. So that's what happens. Stress, cortisol, poor sleep. Poor sleep means more cortisol, and that's how most of us we spend our lives. And now this is where the change happen. The change happen when we want to break this cycle, and there is only the most important part and the easy intervention that does not cost you money as well. It does not cost you even to go to a therapy, is meditation. And meditation will help you to break this loop. Now, meditation does not just help you sleep, meditation physically prepares your brain and your body to sleep. And better sleep enhances your meditative capacity to the following day, and the loop reverse. So, this is where we really need to talk about. And meditation, something I think there is a lot of data. Most of the bigger firms actually made it really compulsory. And I think most of you also, your companies even arranging this webinar is maybe, I'm not sure, maybe is one of the sign that they really want to pay attention to your sleep habits. And maybe they want to ensure that you pay attention to that. Now, let's talk about that what can we do from today to make it a habit, to make it something that maybe you can do something at your home within your life. You don't need anyone else help, but maybe you can set your routine. You can try to break this cycle, and you can rewire your brain. You can reverse the neuroplasticity of your brain. So let us go through it by time of the day. So morning, let's talk about morning. The moment your alarm goes off, your first instinct is to reach for your phone. And I think most of you will agree with that. I want you to resist that instinct and habit. Not forever, just for the first 5 minutes of your day. First 5 minutes. I'm not saying don't touch your phone after, just first 5 minutes of your day. Before you check your messages, before you check your email, before you check the news, take 2 minutes to breathe the moment you are awake. Breathe. Just intentional breathing. Close your eyes, maybe lie down, sitting, whatever you want to do, feeling your feet, feeling your body, just 2 minutes. Stay in your bed and take a deep breath. Slow, intentional breath. Then set one intention in that moment, not to do a list. For example, today I will be present in my meeting. Today I will respond instead of react. One sentence. That is it. It sounds almost like absurdly simple, and the neuroscience behind it actually works really well. Like any intention, our life, our mental health is all about intention, whatever we set in the morning. But unfortunately, most of us, we don't do that. Now, the second point is After you have taken that breath, you have set your intention, you said something good to yourself, just get up and then it's a work day. Now, during the workday, what can you do? Between meetings, practice what I call micro recovery. Now, we are going to do the 4-7-8 breathing technique together in few minutes, and I want you to use it between every back-to-back meetings. Now, it takes less than 1 minute and reset your autonomic system. And I think in some of the countries there is this, they take a midday nap or afternoon nap, or small breaks between the meetings. I'm not telling you to take breaks throughout your meetings. I'm just saying between each meeting or between each reply of your email or between each task, just take a deep breath. And I will teach you in the next slide how to take that deep breath. Now, when it comes to evening, in evening, implement a digital sunset. Digital sunset. I think most of you need to have this term with you today. So I, as a clinical psychologist, as a professional, I recommend 60 minutes before your intended sleep time. Put all screens away. I know it's very hard to do. I know we all have been so used to of having the screens until we fall asleep. But the impact on melatonin production is immediate and measurable. Try to do it every evening, 1 hour before you go to the bed. Now, when it comes to bedtime, your bedroom should be cool between 18 and 21 degrees Celsius is the neurological optimal range of better sleep. It should be dark, blackouts, curtains if possible, and it should be quiet. It should have your bed sheet should be clean and should have like a very nice scent around you. If you don't use those scent uh, washing detergents, maybe put a little bit of perfume on your pillow or on your blanket. But if you do that, it will really help you to go into that phase of feeling sleep. Before you go to sleep, no work conversations, no news, no emotionally activating content in the hour before sleep. And practice the 4-7-8 breathing until you fall asleep, that we will talk about. So, we spoke about in the morning, no phones, during the day, small breaks. In the evening, small digital uh, sunset we have, where we don't use the screen for 60 minutes. And in the sleep, when we are going to sleep, we just make sure that our bedroom is in a optimal state and is good for my sleep. Now, let's talk about the breathing technique. And I think most of you know it. Most of you have different styles of deep breathing. You can do anything, but let's do it today with me. We will inhale for 4 seconds. We will hold that breath for 7 seconds, and we will exhale that breath from 8 seconds. And this is a slow breathing technique. When you are taking this breath, just also pay attention to what's happening in your mind. Okay. Now let's all together take a deep breath. Inhale, hold, exhale. One more, everyone. Please pay attention to this. Take a deep breath. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold and exhale. This did not cost you any money. It just costs you 2 seconds or maybe a 1 minute of your life. And most of the time we say, I don't have time to pay attention to all these things that we spoke about. Just taking maybe 2 minutes between every meeting will really, really help you to recover and to take a small breath. And small breath will help that cortisol in your body to really reset the tone. Now, this is the most important and last slide. I know I have taken a lot of time, but this is the most important and last slide for all of us because we had a lot of knowledge, right? Knowledge without action is just an entertainment or just attending this webinar that my company has arranged. So I want to offer you a challenge. 30 days. That is all I'm asking. Just 30 days of small, consistent steps. And what the research tells us is that after 30 days of new behavior, neurobiological habit formation is already on the way. After 60, it is largely automatic. And after 90, it has become the part of who we are. So let's talk about our upcoming 30 days. Now, week one, please everyone pay attention. Week one is about awareness. 5 minutes of morning breathing every single day. Maybe a sleep journal. Just to write down what time you went to bed. Every day, just write down what time did you go to bed for 1 week. What time you woke up and rate your sleep quality out of 10. Start noticing emotional triggers, not to fix them, just to see them, because week one is only about the awareness. Okay, so what are we going to do in week one? I am just going to notice that what time did I go to sleep? What time did I wake up? What were the things on my mind? What were my emotional triggers? What was the quality of my sleep? And week one, I am going to take 5 minutes of morning breathing. That's it. Now let's talk about week two. Week two is about intention. You add 10 minutes guided meditation. You can use the app Calm, Headspace, or Insight Timer. There are so many free version of apps available. Anything, 10 minutes of guided meditation in week two. You implement your digital sunset that we spoke about, phones away by 9:30 or 10:30, whatever time you go to bed. You take two nature walk this week, maybe, and no earphones during that walk. Allow your brain just to hear whatever is outside. So this is week two. Now week three is deepening. Your meditation extends from 10 minutes to 15 minutes. You try a body scan before sleep. What I say body scan, just lie down on your bed and just connect with your body. How are you feeling? Do you feel heavy somewhere? Do you feel pain somewhere? How your skin is feeling? What's the temperature? So just connect with your body. And your sleep quality will noticeably shift this week. And I want you to look back at your week one sleep journal and ask yourself, how have your morning changed after these 2 weeks? Because now we are in the week three. Okay. Now, week four is integration. Integration is you build a sleep ritual which is non negotiable. Same time, same room temperature, same wind process, like you do the digital detox. You don't use the phone 1 hour before sleep. You don't talk about work before 1 hour of sleep. And, you know, you just pay attention to yourself. This is 4 week. You share whatever you have been doing with your colleague or with your friend or with your family member, and you make a decision not for the 30 days, but for your life. Because what you are building in 30 days is not a challenge, it is a identity shift. And I think most of you, including myself, we really don't pay attention to the quality of our sleep because our life so far is all about hustle. Okay. That's all today for today, everyone. The floor is all yours. I know we have taken a lot of time, but any question you have, please, all the questions are welcome. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Ira. That was quite interesting and detailed for sure. I personally really, really enjoyed it. Like, there were so many things that I understood about meditation. You rightly said that, we are always finding excuses, or, we feel that it's something not meant for us, or we don't have time for it. But I really enjoyed receiving all the tips for us to be able to incorporate it.
Thank
I
you.
am
Thank you,
just
Shivani.
I am just going through the chat box to quickly scan if we have any questions. If you could please give me a moment.
Sure.
Wow. The first question that we have is sleep paralysis also associated with the chronic sleep disorder? If not, what are the major reasons for frequent episodes? I'm curious myself to know this.
Actually, sleep paralysis does not have one reason. There can be so many reasons for that. And most of the time it happens because subconsciously and unconsciously there have been few conflicts in our brain that we are dealing with it. So what happens when that information tries to come in our reality when we are in a sleep, the sleep paralysis happen. But another reason, there are some physical causes as well. So yes, definitely having sleep paralysis is an indication of poor sleep quality. So basically, to work on it, you really have to connect. Maybe try to do this 1 month of challenge that we spoke about. Try to be intentional about your sleep. If you are someone having regular sleep paralysis, try to do a good sleep routine, exercise, and if you still have been experiencing it, maybe consult with someone, because usually sleep paralyses are because of unconscious, unresolved conflicts.
Wow. Thank you so much for clarifying that. The next person would like to know, ideally, how long should be the deep sleep?
Actually, ideally it's 2 hours, depending on our age group as well. But most of the time, our brain does not really go into deep sleep for more than maybe consistently 2 to 3 hours. So, if someone has a really, really good routine of their sleep, whatever I spoke about, and if your quality is really high, 2 to 3 hours of deep sleep is more than enough.
Okay. Ira, can low ferritin levels cause chronic fatigue and poor sleep quality?
It does. It does. Because low ferritin level also is associated with the melatonin production. So, if anything that's going on with us physiologically, I mean, we need to check with our doctors, with our GP, because magnesium levels, our ferritin level, these all are connected with the melatonin production.
That's right. What about kids, Ira? Can a 10-year-old, follow the practices that we spoke about?
I mean, for a child, it should not even be the question that he should be following a routine, because for him that should be who he is, you know. But if a 10-year-old is struggling with sleep, that is a big indication and a red flag for us as a parent that there is something wrong. Okay, because our children should at least have 9 hours of sleep, not 7. And for them it should be an automatic process. But if our children are not doing this automatically, it means there is something wrong. Either they are too much with screen, or the family environment, or what they are feeling, or what they are going through. This should not even be a question. Children should not even have a problem with sleep, but our children, they do because their routines are like that. So they should follow.
Yeah, and definitely the screen time contributes to it,
Yes,
right?
yes. And children should
Mm.
have more hours of deep sleep comparative to adults.
That is so true. And are there any meditation practices for kids that you would recommend?
Actually, there are some apps as well. If you, I don't remember the name, but even on YouTube, if you type meditation for children, actually there are so many sounds and guided meditation routines are available on YouTube. So yes, definitely they can do that. And most of the time, if you want your child to practice meditation, make it a family time. Make it like a game. Like we all are gonna sit and we're gonna do this. Let's see who pays more attention to that. Let's see who is doing for 10 minutes. And then discuss with them during your meditation. What did you feel? How was it? Did you pay attention? Were you able to really enjoy the process? So make it like a family time, mom son time or anything.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Is meditation better in the morning or before you go to sleep in the night?
It is better at any time of the day. There is no specific time for us to do it, and it will be more better. However, what we spoke about, that when you wake up in the morning to take a few intentional breath in your bed is very important. Where because you are still bit drowsy, bit sleepy, so when you wake up, just take few moments to take few deep breaths. And even in the night, it's as beneficial as in the morning. So do it in the night, do it in the morning, do it anytime.
Yeah, that's great. Um, there's this person, Ira, mentioned that he has been practicing meditation for over 10 years, but a lot of times the thoughts related to daily activity keeps his mind occupied. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it becomes impossible to move away easily or distract. Sometimes it takes hours to get off those thoughts. Is
Mm-hmm.
there any tip that you can suggest to deal with this?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, if you've been practicing meditation for so long and it's still you've been feeling that, it means those thoughts related to work or whatever other type of thoughts are there, you need to attend them rather than trying to forget about it or trying to ignore it. So during your meditation, yes, pay attention to that and then bring back your attention to meditation. However, after you finish the meditation, maybe you need to write down those thoughts in your journal and write anything that whatever comes to your mind about those thoughts, whatever it is, write about it. If writing is not what you like, speak about those thoughts with someone you trust. And if still you are not able to really process those thoughts, it means those thoughts most probably are worries or anxieties. It's like, what if this will happen? What if this will happen? So observe the quality of the thought. So if it's negative, then you really need to do something about those negative thoughts. Maybe try to journal, try to talk. If it does not work, maybe then, speak with someone professional. But you really have to first understand what's the quality of those thoughts.
Thank you, Ira. That was definitely helpful. The next one is actually for me, not for you, Ira. There's a member requesting if these sessions can be conducted on weekends or later in the day during weekdays. Weekends are a little tricky. For the weekdays, second half, we can definitely consider. Having said that, all our sessions are recorded. And I really like the idea that you suggested you would like to include your family members as well for these sessions. You can always play the recording on a weekend, and please do reach out to your HR for the recording. We'll be happy to share it with them.
Yeah.
Moving on. Mhm.
Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah,
you were
yeah,
saying
please go
something.
on.
Yeah, I'm just going through all the messages. There are a lot of thank yous and a lot of appreciation, Ira, for this session.
Thank you so
Um,
much, everyone. We spoke about 1 month challenge. I really hope maybe today we had attendance of 350 people. If out of 350, even 10 people or 5 people will be doing that challenge, I think my day is worth it. This time I spent with you guys, it's worth it.
yeah, that is so true. I do acknowledge and understand that we've gone slightly above time.
Yes.
We still have more questions, which I feel will be difficult for us to, go through each one of them. There's one question that I would definitely like to take, Ira. Let this be the last one. The person would like to know if is it healthy to break your sleep into two cycles? So, 4 hours, one cycle, and then maybe 4 hours later. Some people like to sleep through the day and then maybe 4 hours later in the night.
Okay, that is the most dangerous thing you can do to your brain and to your health and to your life. Because 4 hour of cycle, it means you will just stay in the first stage of sleep. You will not go in the deep sleep because it takes 3 to 4 hours of our brain when we are sleeping to go into the deep sleep phase. And until you are not in the deep sleep phase, your brain neurons, they will not recover. They will not repair. And whatever you have learned, as we spoke about throughout the day, it will not go into the long-term memory. So there is no concept of sleeping 4 hours and 4 hours in the science.
Wow, that was definitely helpful. I do know a lot of people who feel that, oh, in total, I am,
No,
sleeping
no,
for
there is
eight
no
hours.
you. We are not camel, we are not camel that I am saving my water and I will drink whenever I need. No, there is no
Yeah,
compensation. Sleep has to be 7 hours straight for an adult.
that is so right. And sometimes more, right? I mean, if
Yeah, sometimes more depends on.
yeah, depending on the physical activity and the time of recovery
Yeah,
that you
but I
require.
think, Shivani, I want to add one more thing.
Hmm.
Some people, they think that they want to compensate their sleep deprivation by sleeping on the weekends. That is
Yeah,
extremely dangerous habit because there is no compensation word exist in the world of sleep. There is no compensation. If you are going to sleep more hours on the weekend, basically you are just disturbing your sleep cycle. The sleep consistency should be same. Sleeping and waking up same time throughout the week and throughout the weekend.
that is so true. But Ira, just a quick one. What are your thoughts on the afternoon naps? Because I see, I mean, even if people are sleeping for like 7 hours in the night, they do need like a 15-20 minute of an afternoon nap. Is it a
It
good
is
idea?
absolutely, that is absolutely okay. Naps are recommended for some people, but naps are not recommended for people having depression and anxiety. That is another topic for us to discuss. But naps are good because it quickly just helps you to lower the overwhelming phase you have throughout the day. So you just get a quick boost. So it's okay if you want to take a nap. But you
All
always
right.
have to observe after taking a nap, are you feeling emotionally burdened and heavy? If you do, don't take it.
Oh, wow. Some people feel emotionally burdened after taking a nap.
Yes, they do. People
This
who have
concept is
anxiety
quite
and
new.
depression, if they
Mhm.
take a nap, they feel more negative, low, sad after the nap.
Okay. Wow, it was quite an insightful session, Ira. Thank you so much. It's always lovely to hear you talk
Thank
and
you.
deliver these beautiful sessions that you do.
Thank you, Shivani.
And
Thank you.
thank you to all the attendees. we've had today, and we will definitely see you again in our next session.
Thank
Hope
you.
you
Bye,
all,
everyone. Have a good day.
thank you. Hope you all have a
Bye
great
bye.
day ahead.
Bye bye.